Anyway, we are going to lift, for one instance, my ban on audio sound bites from MSNBC. Something occurred there that dovetails nicely with the theme of the program today. And so I instructed Cookie to get me the bite. And she was just ecstatic. She loves it when I lift the ban on MSNBC. Sit tight, back. All right. Also on the Hillary Clinton side, in addition to the WMUR poll in New Hampshire, that's an important poll. This is not an outlier poll. It's a mainstream New Hampshire poll. Bernie Sanders has soared to a commanding lead over Hillary in New Hampshire 3 weeks before the primary. Sanders leads Clinton 60 to 33%. This is a WMUR CNN poll. He is viewed favorably by 91% of likely Democrat primary voters, unfavorably by 7%. And then there is news about the Hillary Clinton email server. It turns out, now we know why there are 150 FBI agents tracking her down. It turns out that she shared this email server that she had outside the office, the one she had at home in the basement of Chappaqua or whatever, that had all of the classified documents on. It turns out that server and its contents were shared with the Clinton Family Crime Foundation as well, meaning Bill Clinton had access to the emails, or could have had access to the emails on Hillary Clinton's server. Hillary shared an email network with the Clinton Foundation. According to records, shared an IP address with her husband's email server, PresidentClinton.com. Both servers were housed in New York, not in the basement of Clinton's Chappaqua home. Correct myself on that. Which means that whatever was on Hillary's server, Bill had access to, and they're out there jointly seeking hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in donations from agents, representatives, foreign governments all over the world. So, and it has now been speculated, because of the nature of the highly classified nature of the documents on her server, that they go beyond top secret. Dr. Krauthammer on Fox, for example, last night said this goes beyond what Snowden did. This is worse than Snowden. And by the way, people are now bringing Petraeus into this. Petraeus, they're thinking about stripping his rank from him. They're thinking about just totally ditching him. If that happens, he loses everything. He loses his pension. He loses every financial benefit that he accrued while in the military, not to mention his reputation as one of America's greatest generals. And Petraeus did the identical thing that Hillary did, and maybe even not as bad. He shared whatever secured information, classified data he had with the author that was doing the book on him. It turned out to be his mistress, Paula Broadwell. And how given how this regime, it's now up to the Secretary of Defense what happens to Petraeus. Now, you stop and think of this. Here's Petraeus, author of The Surge in Iraq, saves the day. Obama hires him to run the Iraq or the Afghanistan portion and makes him CIA director or whatever. And now they're set to destroy him. There's no doubt some political component here, obviously, but they're set to destroy Petraeus. One of the most decorated, highly decorated, highest reputed military men of the last 2 centuries. And he's on the verge of being destroyed. Pensions, 401ks, everything that he's built up would be totally taken away because it's all with the government. This would be part of the punishment. So people start to say, well, wait, if you're going to do this, Petraeus, and Mrs. Clinton's done identical things, pretty close to identical, if not worse, then how can you let her slide? So, and there are other things involving the Hillary-Bernie Sanders campaign. As I mentioned, New York Times with a story on how millennial-aged feminists, led by that icon Lena Dunham, are now beginning to have doubts about Mrs. Clinton because they're not cool. They're not hip with all this bimbo eruption stuff. They really are just now learning about it. They're not cool with the fact that when these bimbos popped up, that it was Hillary's responsibility and she eagerly accepted it to destroy the women. When these women are out making up stories about having been raped on campus to make a point of how rotten men are, here's Hillary Clinton. They are discovering she took the women out to protect her husband, who was a predator. And this is in the New York Times, folks. And it's a pretty straight-up story.